Please clap. I'm powered by clapping. Cool. So, hey everybody, I am Paul Martin, the founder, CEO of TagSpace. And even if you don't get anything else from this, I'm here to tell you that the future of the web and internet experiences is spatial. And what that means is it's always on, 24/7 content. It is infinite internet content. It is either curated or created by AI. It's visualized to you using mixed reality and optionally monetized on the blockchain. And a little bit about me. I've actually got a long history in the video games industry. That's where a lot of this technology came from. I was actually one of the first ever video game testers, going way back to, well, you don't even want to know when, I'll give away my age. Actually, my great uncle was one of the grandfathers of the video games industry in Europe. So came in super early age. Later on, armed with a computer science degree, I went on to specialize in making video game engines for companies like Electronic Arts, Microsoft, and Sony. I was actually one of the PlayStation specialists for making third-person shooter engines. My first startup after I left Sony was a company called Slant 6 Games out of Vancouver, BC. That did pretty well. We ended up working, we generated 5 SOCOM Navy SEALs games. We generated a Resident Evil game that shipped over 2 million copies in the first 6 weeks. And then fast forward, Upton moved to Australia. I was constantly sun-seeking. And then 8 years ago, set up TagSpace, which is an Australian company. From day one, we were scattered throughout the globe. So our incredible team are partly based in Australia, and then the rest are scattered throughout the world. And all of us are former video games industry veterans and also Web3 experts. So you're probably getting a hint as to how this all comes together, but I'll dig in now. To get things warmed up, though, let's show you a little bit of a demo. So this is going to illustrate some of the existing TagSpace spatial web experiences. So everything you see in this video right now is live, it's real, it's been at market, real customers. It's just a bit of a sizzler reel that puts it all together. And then I'll show you where this is all going in the future, where Web3 comes into this, and then I'll take you through it. But for now, enjoy the show. Cool, and you probably saw a little segment in there from fashion show. That was a nice unexpected time with the previous session talk, but you can see how we can activate fashion shows that play out in the real world. We'll dig into that a bit more in a second as well. I'm not going to spend heaps of time just talking about TagSpace, but how all of this works in our platform is, aside from the app, which allows you to browse spatial experiences just like you saw, we provide the creation tools. So you log into Tag Studio, and then you have a no-code solution to quickly and easily drag and drop your way to glory on the spatial web. You literally drop a pin on the map for each location around the world where you want content to be found. And that can be just literally images or videos, or select from a library of 3D animations, or bring your own 3D content. You drop them on a map, and that content is live and visible at that location instantly. In addition to that, for business customers, we offer an analytics suite so that you can see how your content is performing in the real world. So which bits of content people are engaging with more, which are engaging less. We can even track pedestrian footfall to show where the hotspots are, like around cities or in music festivals, to see where is getting the most people traffic as they go around there. Okay, so first off, just digging into spatial web, and then I'll go into spatial web 3. Okay, so you're at a mixed reality conference, you're at an Excel conference, so I'll assume that you've at least got some prior knowledge as to what this thing is. But I'll dig in a little bit around the commercials on it and just talk about some of the use cases. So first off, what is it? It's digital content. It's the digital world where it overlaps and merges with the physical world. Right? And in real terms, what we're doing is we're linking together people, spaces, and content and bringing that all together. It's location-aware information. It can be tailored for particular users based on what they're doing or where they're going. And right now, you look at it using your existing smartphones. You just look through Magic Window view on your phone, and it's essentially overlaid as part of the camera view together with cool things that tie it in with the real world, like shadows and lighting. But then going forwards, it's also available on mixed reality glasses, and that's where we get that true sort of, more 3D experience. Think holograms, depending on what the glasses are that you're looking through. Now, who wants this? So for businesses right now, and I'm talking from our experience and our customers at TagSpace, the music festivals want it, any live event wants it, sports venues, entertainers, brands, and tourism. Right? And the reason why we're focusing on those is because these are the industries right now where there's very low friction for people engaging with those experiences through their existing smartphones. Right? For other industries, as soon as you've got to find a reason for people to pull out their phone and start doing stuff, there's more friction there. Whereas in all of these use cases, people are on their phones at least 30% of the time anyway. If you go to any live event right now, at least 30% of the crowd will be on their phones, live streaming or selfie or whatever. So we're hitting that target because they're already on their phones. We might as well give them an enhanced view of that real world. And all of these companies want this for a few reasons, but the top four are increased user engagement and conversion, reaching younger audiences, access to new business models, and we'll talk about that more on the Spatial Web3, and then also new ways to be able to distribute their content. So think about all this content that exists in the world. If it's audio, it's gone out through Spotify, and then it's just sort of sitting there gathering digital dust on the shelves. So this is whole new ways to be able to bring this content out into experiences. And then for end users, the use case and value is literally limitless. So at music festivals, number one, find my friends, find my car. Where do I pitch my tent? Where's the nearest bathroom when you're absolutely busting? Who's playing at this music stage right now? Who's coming up next? Right? Think about the experience that you have to go through to try and answer those questions using a traditional map or a Google map. You've got to go through, some kind of, very lame festival app and a blue dot view, and it's super sophisticated. So we bring all of that together in a single view in the spatial web. And then think about all of the use cases that really blows up, the plethora of use cases. Once you can annotate any single place in the entire world without having to build a physical sign that points to it. And then think about all of those virtual signages that point to those places can host any live information. For example, it could be transit timetables. It could be live queuing times. How long is it going to take before I get a taxi at this stop? Where's my next Uber pickup? So all of this brought together spatially right at the place where it makes sense, right in front of your eyes. For sports events, we can fill in the gaps in the action. So, we did a guerrilla campaign years ago where we landed a life-size Millennium Falcon into the Yankees Stadium during a Star Wars-themed MLB game. But aside from that, we, again, help people find their way around, but fill in the gaps in the action, show people beyond what their eyes can see. Think at a motorsports event, the things all go flying by, and then, if you're a kid, you're like, okay, well, that was awesome, but now I'm bored because nothing's happened for at least 2 minutes. But now think, we can show you beyond what your eyes are seeing. Show me a picture-in-picture view spatially as to where the action is going on beyond what's right in front of me. And that's all the kind of experience that we can power. Live events, again, fill in the gaps, especially for great big spaces. Think about what it would take to create immersive activations with real physical structures here. We can spin these up quickly and easily in the spatial web. And then we can actually become the live event. Think a giant holographic theater experience that plays out in the desert. It could be a virtual fashion show like you saw in that previous video. We can actually sell tickets to these experiences as part of an exclusive deal, and all of this can be done through the spatial web. And we'll cover off how the monetization happens just in a second. And then finally, just on spatial web experiences, for tourism, right now, again, everything powered through the phone. But at TagSpace, we also support a very limited run of partners like, these guys are now X-Real, but at the time we provided the first ever holographic tour using the N-Real Light glasses. So you have a hands-free walking tour of a particular city. Okay, so going on to the title talk of the show, Spatial Web3. And being a bunch of smart people, you probably guessed, it is the spatial web on the blockchain. What I mean by that is all of the content, so all of the assets, all of those tags that you saw in all those previous views, think about them being tokenized and then governed on the blockchain. So any transactions that involve them all takes place on chain. And so at TagSpace, to illustrate this, and I'm using TagSpace here because there's not many companies really doing this at the moment. It's really, really hard to do. Location-based experiences are hard in general. And then the monetization and addition to the blockchain just sort of takes that to the next level. But at TagSpace, we've got two main tokens that are used. One is our native utility and governance token, which is called TagD. And you don't need to use this just in the regular user app. You can just spend regular money if you want to unlock premium experiences. We have free experiences as well. But you can just pay regular fiat currency to unlock the experiences. We don't want the friction of having to deal with wallets and whatever else inside of the app. But if you're a content creator, you can make content for free and put it on the platform. But if you want to boost that content, and if you want to be able to monetize it and really amplify the revenue that can be generating, then you spend TagD to be able to do that. It's essentially power-ups. And I'm oversimplifying just a little bit. Now, the second breed of NFTs that we have are our Tag As, and they're essentially location-based NFTs. More specifically, they're an ERC-721 token. It's an Ethereum token, and they have customized payloads, so we can attach any kind of multimedia or 3D content to those together with a location. We have 5 different flavors of these NFT tags. Multimedia tags, like I talked about before, they can host images or videos or live content such as timetables or even live streaming video. You can literally just point to the live streaming video source and boom, it's beamed right to that tag at the location. We have 3D models, like you saw before. All of these are minted as a special breed of NFT. And then our ad tags, which I'm not sure you saw in the previous videos, but these are just like regular multimedia boards, you see down the sides of highways and in streets and whatever else, but they have the advantage that they can show different content for different users, right? Super powerful. And all of these are minted as NFTs, which has obviously, all the usual benefits of NFTs. It shows canonical ownership, and it also means that we don't need to host all of that content on a platform. We can just create interoperability with third-party content nice and easily without having to suck it all into, the TagSpace servers. So this is all part of that Web3 infrastructure. And then for the other 2 types of tags, we've got our zone tags. And the zones are essentially geo-fenced regions of the world where we have essentially a sort of customized experience. So a music festival might, imagine a great big ring around it, and then all of the content within that ring is specific to that music festival. Right? So like in the TagSpace spatial web, you could have literally content across the whole world. But then just like how you've got an internet search that brings you like everything, you can then jump into a particular web page, and that would be more of a geo-fenced region where you get a more concentrated, themed, branded experience. And then we have land, which is regions of the real world, put a little dotted line around them, and you can potentially purchase access to the digital twin of that land. And by doing that, you could either be a content creator or you could be a brand or a company that wants certain strategic benefits over your competition. So for example, if I buy a piece of land, that will give me a certain unfair advantage as to the content that can be hosted on it to be able to potentially block competition. If I'm not going to name any particular names that we might be talking with, but let's say you are sports brand A, you could buy a chunk of a sports field or the whole sports field or land that overlaps with it, and it will give you certain rights as to the content that's placed within that realm to be able to block your competition. But as an investor or a regular person, you can also choose to buy land as an investment instrument, because by being a landowner, you will gain access to the revenues or partial revenues that are generated on that land. So if somebody else comes and builds content that's making money on there, some of that revenue will flow back to you. Okay, so from here, what does this all look like in the future? So the future is going to be, like I said, always on. And when I'm talking about the future, I'm talking, lightweight glasses that don't make you look like a dork, something that's, lightweight, wearable. It's at a commoditized price point that will give you access to these always-on experiences. And, in the hopefully not too distant future, as you've hopefully seen at this show so far, It's going to be glasses, that be wrapped up in some sort of nice designer form factor. But in the distant-ish future, there'll be contact lenses, and then potentially implants as well. And then that's when we get these always-on experiences. And so to put that in perspective, pun intended, or at least a minor one, as we go forwards and move to these hands-free, non-touchy screen devices, everything has to change in terms of how we interact with these, right? So we don't want to be pointing and clicking on a device and then looking up and seeing something different to what our eyes are seeing. So user interfaces need to change, and they are. This is what we're working on right now at TagSpace. Holographic interfaces and AI and voice chat is going to become extremely important. Right? So what we're working on right now, just to paint the picture, is your virtual assistant pops up wherever you want it. You can talk to them and just tell them exactly what you want to see or do around you. So in this concept here, you can see pops up in my living room. I start out the day. It's my daily dashboard put in front of me. Hey, assistant, show me what's going on. Where am I going today? What am I doing? My social feed appears around me. Here's the current news. Look out the window. Here's all the places I'm going to be visiting today, visualized spatially. And then when you go outside, you get this beautiful outdoor experience. All the places annotated in the real world where you're going to be going for that day. If you're a kid, you'll find some fun games spin up along the way. I mean, think about whack-a-mole, that age-old classic, but think these moles are popping out around the ground, and you can happily run around giggling as you go and squish them. But then more importantly, think about things like your entire social feed or your entire photos. Think about all the photos you've ever taken in your life. Now think about you're hanging out at a restaurant with a family, like, oh, I remember I was here like 5 years ago, and we took some photos. Now, where are they? And you sit there like scrolling through your social feed for like 10 minutes like a moron, and you're like, oh, I can't remember where this damn thing is. Instead, just think any place you've ever been, any place your friends have ever been, if they're sharing that content with you, you'll be able to see exactly where they were taken. Super powerful. And all of this brought to life in a spatial Web3 experience. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Before I take some questions, please get your phones out if you've got a couple of QR codes to scan for connection. But first off, a shameless plug, we're launching our native TagD token in a couple of months. So if you want to be a part of that, we're giving an exclusive. Here's the sign up for the waitlist. If you enter the promo code in the right box, AWE24, we'll push you to the top of that wait list. Make sure you get in on the action. We are at booth 446 in the show, and sorry, I'm just going to go back in case you didn't get a chance to scan that. We're at booth 446 at the show. If you want to come by and get a demo and have a chat, I'll be there with a couple of my team. And if you want to connect with me, second QR code, complete with obligatory Australian kangaroos. Connect with me. Always happy to talk to like-minded people, industry professionals, and generally have a natter. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. The floor is open for questions.
Thanks, guys. Hey.
Paul, are you familiar with the apartment buildings that Antoni Gaudí did in Barcelona?
Not particularly, but we have done some stuff in Barcelona.
Right. I was going to suggest that as a filter.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
What was the name again?
Antoni Gaudí.
Oh, yes, sorry, have. And we've actually been talking with those guys through our sales team. Because they've got some...
He died 100 years ago.
No, but they have the museum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a perfect use case because we can bring to life those experiences and some of the architecture and whatever else around him. Yeah, and I think if I remember right, that museum is particularly renowned for sort of showcasing beautiful architectural spaces and whatnot.
Well, a lot of the city, actually.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Julian?
For a music festival, can this be integrated to the festival's application, or do people utilize the TagSpace? How does that work?
Both. So we've actually done this dozens of times. We've activated music festivals all around the world. And so typically, the music festival gets its own URL, and then that URL is integrated into the music festival app. So, for example, we did Splendor in the Grass in Australia, and they very cleverly, marketing team probably spent a lot of money and donuts on coming up with Splend AR. And that was the button that you clicked within the app to activate the spatial web map experience from within it. So the very first time the user clicks on it, if they don't already have the TagSpace app installed, it installs it and then takes them straight into the spatial experience. Every other time after that, it feels just like a tight integration with the app. It's like a part of the platform. So it's kind of like a plug-in architecture to bring spatial experiences to any existing 2D web.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah, pleasure.
Paul, have you worked with any tourism boards?
Yeah, a few. We generally go with more private tourism companies. So think companies like Hop On, Hop Off Bus. Think just about every city has multiple websites that showcase different things to see or do in the city. Like, Time Out magazines are pretty classic example. But there's a lot of other companies like Fever operate, Secret Lisbon, Secret New York, Secret this, Secret that. And so all things to see or do in the city. They're perfect partners and customers for us because we can literally take all of the stuff that's already on their website, easily turn it into these spatial tours, and then they can optionally charge money for access to them or use it to promote their existing content. So I've done ones you click on the tags as you go on your merry way, and that could feature a discount code for getting into that particular place that the tag's pointing to.
Amazing. Have we got time for one more question? Okay, if no one else has a question, I'm going to ask, have you mapped Iceland yet?
I'm sorry, mapped?
Iceland?
No, we haven't mapped Iceland. We've got nothing in Iceland. We're in 47 countries, but nothing in Iceland.
Okay.
Should
Maybe
we?
We'll change that.
Okay, I'd love to. Cool, guys. Well, yeah, please swing by the booth, 446, if you want to check out our demo and win some prizes. But yeah, love to hear from you. Thank you.